Uh, during hockey penalty shots, whatever his name, Paco can score a goal 9 times out of 10. Frederica can score a goal 13 out of 15. A. Show each player's statistics as fractions, a decimal, and a percent, using a table or some other method to organize your answer.
So can you tell me, is there any word in this problem that you're struggling with? The problem up to here out of 15.
No.
You're good with all the words other than names, but that's fine, right?
Yes.
Now look at part A, question A. Is there any words within question A? Show each player's statistic as a fraction, a decimal, and a percent.
Well, I don't know what the word statistic mean, but I know that I have to change each one into a fraction, decimal, and percent. But I didn't really use a table to show it.
Okay, so can I ask you, if you're going to show everything as a fraction, a decimal, and a percent, what is it that you're going to change to those?
Well, I don't get that.
Yeah, because the word statistic is important. Crazy loon. Here we go. Statistic is the fact that we're looking here 9 out of 10 or 13 out of 15.
Yeah,
so they're stats.
That's why the 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
I put it as a fraction, and then I changed it into a decimal.
Yeah.
And then
See, I think it's interesting that you knew how to answer the question, even though words in the question.
I didn't get it.
Were, yeah. Okay, so let's take a look at it. So statistic is the, actually, before I define it for you, can you tell me if you've heard the word stats before?
Yes, I have.
Okay, do you know what that means?
No.
Okay, you said you went to a Spitfires game?
Yes.
And do you know any of the players' stats?
No.
Do you know when a player's hockey card is printed that on the back they have their stats?
Like number?
Yeah. What are those numbers? What are those numbers? Oh, not number of their jersey. Is that what you were thinking?
Yes.
No, not number of the jersey. The number of, like if it's a hockey card, number of goals, number of games, number of shots on net, those kinds of things come into play. If you're a baseball player, what would some of the stats show?
Like the number of hits you got.
Makes sense.
The number of home runs you got.
Sure, makes sense. You're freaking me out. Don't drop that. And then, what if you were a bowler?
The number of pins you got down.
Sure. And?
The number of strikes.
Strikes. You got it. You got the idea. So what if you're a student?
The stats I
What would
drop
your
it.
stats be?
The number of tests that you got, like out of 90 and stuff.
Out of 90?
Or like, I mean like the
Just
number.
little munchkins, they're not gonna listen to our
No, think about it though, because I think you can make this connection. You're a student. What would I be looking at to get your stats?
Your test marks.
Okay. Is there any specific document that holds the stats because of all of your test marks?
I don't know.
I'm kind of talking around it. Did you just maybe get a document the other day in which your stats maybe?
Report card.
There you go. Do you see the connection? So what are your stats?
Well, I got pretty good on my report card.
I mean, what's another word for stats in the case of a student?
Statistics.
Statistics, yeah, that's the long form of the word. Stats is kind of like a slang, right?
Short form.
So if your name is Jonathan, I might call you Johnny. If your name is Roberto, I might call you Bobby, right?
If my name is Madison, you call me Maddy, which is
You got
that's
the
it.
idea.
My name is Madison.
Exactly. So these are the stats. And if you're a student, your stats are probably your grades, right? Okay, let's take a look at the question now.
Okay, so let's draw. Let's use that color. So 10, and then 10A is, well, if If he,
So
he-
Paco
if-
can
if-
score a goal 9 times out of 10.
So the fraction would be 9/10.
Okay, let's see that.
9/10. And then that would equal as a fraction. You would have to divide 9 divided by 10. Divide 9 out of 10. And that would equal as a fraction. It would be 0.9. Yes.
You're looking at me with question eyes but confident voice.
And then to equal I forget the word. To equal percent, you need to 9 times 100.
Okay.
9 times 100. And then that would equal 90%.
Okay. Now, how do you know that you're right?
Because I used a calculator.
What? Just now?
No.
No, when you did it there. So then I am going to ask you a question again. How do you know that you're right?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know that I'm right.
Can you? Oh, yeah. Hi, we're good. We're good.
Oh my, yeah.
Maybe we're not in a great spot, hey? Okay, so you used a calculator.
Yes.
That's fine. But what I want to know is, are you aware if that is a reasonable answer or not?
Yes, I'm aware that's a reasonable answer.
How do you know?
Because it all makes sense.
Tell me.
If you do, it'll. I
I
don't know. This is hard.
It is. That's why we're doing it. Challenge. Here we go. 9 out of 10. Talk to me about 9 out of 10.
Well, if you get 9 out of 10, you get like a 90.
Oh,
Like if you had it on a test.
okay.
It's like it would be 99 out of 100. You would like get a 90.
99 out of 100 gives you a 90?
Maybe. Around like 99 or something. 9% or something. No, iPad don't get off of the thingy.
Okay, Maddie. I hear what you're telling me, and some of what you're telling me is accurate. Okay? Some of what you're telling me, I think, falls into the same category as some of the issues that we had last time when we talked. So I think you know how to follow an instruction and repeat an instruction over and over again. But the how or the why sometimes is in question. So I think you were able to solve your fraction question because that was the kind of practice you were doing. So although you didn't understand the question, you knew what to do, right?
Because we've been learning about this for a long time,
Exactly.
and I remember things, but then when we start to get into a new lesson, I forget about it.
Exactly, and I think that's what I was getting at, that happens. If you don't have full understanding, when the same kinds of questions are asked of you in a month or 2 months or 3 months from now, it'll be tricky.
You kind of have to look back at it.
Yeah, look back at your work.
Because you're learning another lesson that
Right.
gets in your head, and then
So-
the other one comes out.
Can I ask you then, Maddie, do you think that you've learned this?
Probably last year. Yeah, I probably learned. I did fractions last year. I don't remember
Did you
what we
learn
did.
them, or did you experience them and practice them?
I think we experienced them in practice.
Yeah, I think I just gave you a leading question. That was not fair. But I wonder the same thing. I wonder if you feel like you learned how to do fractions or if you learned how to practice in fractions. I think there's a little bit of a difference, and I'm wondering about that. Can you tell me what you'd like to know about this process? I think we could spend some time clearing up some things.
Well, there's something that I really need to know because I've known everything. Because if you just have a normal 9, it's like turns into a 90, it's because you have to add a 0 on it because you times it by 100.
Okay. What is this number right here? I'm just going to use one of these doodads and say, what's this number right here?
It's 0.9.
Okay. Do you remember last week when we were talking and this number came up? Can you tell me what that number is, Maddie?
last time I said 0.67.
And what did Mrs. Calvin say?
You said it was 0.67, which,
No, I didn't.
yeah, you said it was 0.67.
I said point.
Ah!
What did I say it was, Maddie?
0.67.
What do you say it is, Maddie?
0.67.
What? 0.67? You still say it's that?
No,
I'm
but
concerned.
I'm saying it last week.
Oh, okay. What do you say it is this week?
0.67.
And so I'm going to ask you again. What's this number here?
0.9.
Do you see the problem if we took that same... Okay. Are we recording? No.
Now we are.
Okay. So if we took this same number right here and said 0, what is that number?
It would be 0.91.
Okay.
Because it's not one number, like if you 91 without the decimal, and you would just like erase that and erase that, it'd be 91. But it's not, it's in a decimal form, so.
So it's 0.91.
But
I'm
if you-
going to go ahead and erase. How do I do that?
Why do you want to erase?
Because I roll like that.
Erase it.
Okay, let's do this. No, that's not going to work. Let's do this. What's this number?
0.9.
Okay. What's this number here?
0.90.
Do you need to say?
You don't need to say it, but sometimes it helps for me when I say it.
How does it help?
It just helps sometimes so I know that, I know it's not actually there, but it just, I don't know why, it helps me.
Maddie, you didn't say it when I asked you what that number was.
It's a 0.9.
Yeah.
But that's like the same one, but this time you actually showed the 0.
But it is the same number, because I think what's interesting about what we've been talking about is that those zeros all exist after that 9, but we don't say them.
Yeah, but it's
And so
like
if you
repeating.
say 67, like you were saying last week, then you could also say 900, 0.900, or
Sure.
0.9000. And you see how that starts to confuse the thinking? So my question to you about your understanding of fractions and decimals and percents is about reasonableness still. So we talked about 9 out of 10, or 9/10, being pretty darn good. Pretty close to all the way. Pretty close to one
But
whole, pretty close to a perfect.
I didn't do Fredricia's yet, so that's what we need to get
Frederica's, okay.
on. Okay, so now for Fredericia, we'll do this in a different color. Put that down. Do it in a nice bluish color. And she got 13 out of 15. But to change that into a decimal, it would be a repeating decimal because it's 0.8.
Point?
0.8666. And you don't want to write all those sixes, so you just put a line out to the last one.
Why do you write 3 6s?
So people know if they're repeating.
If you wrote 2 6s, would they know?
If you had a line on top, yeah. I don't know. The teacher just wrote 3 6s today, and I was like, oh, we should write 3 6s.
Okay. So 13 over 15, is that equal to 0.866 repeating?
I don't know.
You're not sure?
Sure.
Is there any way to check to see if you're reasonable? You're not certain about that. How do you change that to a percent?
You have times. You gotta times all this times 100.
Okay, let's do that.
So that'll be times 100, and that would equal us 8.666 reading per cent.
Interesting. All right, Maddie, I'm going to let you off the hook. So I'm going to meet with Jacob and 2 other students from Mrs. Hensey's class. And then I think we'll have a different conversation next time we get together, which will be next week. I have to check the date, but next week.
I'm gone next week for. I'm back at Friday, but I'm gone next week for to Kalahari.
Oh, that's crazy talk. Right there. Whoa. Did I add a new page? I don't want to.